Welcome to Earth, home to everyone that you know, everyone that you love, everyone that you've ever heard of, and every human being that has ever existed has all been here. The Earth is a giant ball of life, and it has provided sustenance for us for millions of years. It also created a platform for us to be able to create ourselves. Music, art, love, technology, it all stems from the Earth in one way or another. Life as we know it is dependent on the Earth, but the Earth is not dependent on us. The Earth is indifferent. It's been here, soaring through space for 4 billion years, and it will continue to do so long after we are gone. Life is not invincible. We live in a delicate ecosystem that is essential for the continuation of all living things. Just as the Earth has had an astounding impact on all of our lives, we also have an impact on the ecosystem here. Our way of life has changed drastically over the last century, and we're starting to notice the effects. Life is fragile. Life has also become very complex. We live in a world where information is constantly at your fingertips, and all of that comes from energy. From smartphones to supercomputers, from space heaters to industrial warehouses, all of that energy has to come from somewhere. Currently in the United States, 85% of the energy that we use comes from the burning of fossil fuels, such as petroleum, natural gas, and coal. The burning of fossil fuels has been able to keep up with our energy demands for the last couple of decades, but there is a major drawback to it. Burning fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and that has a direct effect both on our climate and on the ecosystem. Many scientists have recognized the dilemma that we're in, and it's led to a rapid growth in the world of renewable energy. Our energy consumption has a direct effect on life, so it's important for us to be educated on which energy we should be using. The chemistry to harness solar energy into power was developed in the mid-19th century, and advances in solar power are always being made. From our perspective here on Earth, the sun is a seemingly infinite source of energy, and it should be utilized. Currently, the price of photovoltaic solar panels is the most expensive form of popular renewable energy sources. However, there has been a gradual decrease in total cost of solar in the past decade or so there is some hope on the horizon for solar energy. The second most expensive form of renewable energy on the market right now is geothermal. Geothermal power uses heat that's generated below the Earth's crust and transforms it into energy. The geothermal system provides energy and heat to over 65 buildings in downtown Boise. Boise houses the largest district-use geothermal heating district in the United States. Wind turbines. I'm sure that if you've ever driven for more than a couple of hours through the Idahoan countryside, you've seen a few of these massive turbines. Harnessing energy from the wind is a great way to obtain clean, renewable energy, but the United States cannot run on wind energy alone. It can only be aided by it. Also, I'm sure that you've noticed that wind is quite fickle and inconsistent. You never know how hard it's going to blow or in which direction, so that can be tricky in placing these. That brings us to nuclear energy. Many myths surround nuclear power and help hide the fact that this may be the biggest energy miracle our planet holds. A mere golf ball-sized lump of uranium holds as much energy as a battery the size of 16 skyscrapers. And the best part about nuclear energy is there is no atmospheric impact or carbon emissions. Many top scientists agree that nuclear is the cleanest and most realistic form of grid power that's available. So why aren't we using this more often? The word nuclear reactor holds a negative connotation for many people. Whether that stems from the Chernobyl disaster in 1986, or maybe even the post-apocalyptic wasteland of Fallout 4, we're not exactly sure. But many Americans have a hard time accepting nuclear power. The United States government hasn't given permission to build a new nuclear reactor in 30 years until recently. And the new contracts that they have for new nuclear reactors won't go onto the grid until the year 2020. Nuclear waste is a huge issue and most likely the biggest deterrent for most public opinion. But there are many myths associated with waste storage, transportation, and safety. Nuclear waste has been safely transported for over 50 years with no harmful incidents. Careful planning and precision is taken into account when transporting radioactive materials. The question ends up being simple. Would you rather have 40 billion tons of carbon emitted into the atmosphere from burning fossil fuels, or 2,000 tons of a manageable waste product from an infinitely sustainable energy source? Now, I understand that you've probably heard this stuff dozens of times before. I could show you graphs and graphs and graphs showing how energy consumption has increased drastically in the last 20 years, or even showing what we're using to meet our energy needs. I could tell you about how 2015 is the hottest year on human record so far, or how carbon dioxide emissions in the atmosphere are at unprecedented levels. I could bury you in statistics. Or I could tell you a story about a sad, sad polar bear whose life is being destroyed, whose family has died, who is hungry, searching for food, and whose home is dwindling and shrinking every single day. But ultimately, would it change your mind? This is a global issue, which ends up leaving many of us feeling a little helpless. But individual action is key. The domino effect could be the most important factor of global conservation. Change starts on the individual level, and then it moves up through communities. Boise is a great example of how a community can help to make a change. It's extremely bike-friendly and has over 65 buildings running on geothermal energy. If you have ever walked around Boise's downtown streets, you'll see signs reminding people to turn their engines off and be idle-free. Although this may not have a global impact yet, it's a great starting point and a good way to start a conversation. Many countries worldwide are taking a step in the right direction for renewable energy. Countries such as Denmark, Ireland, and most of the UK are shattering records on wind power. And China, who has the highest energy consumption in the world, is leading the world in renewable energy sources. The human race has their backs to the wall, and it's up to each individual to fix the problem at hand. Although Earth is a very tough planet, as it's proved over billions of years, it's still very unethical to change the natural processes that have kept such a perfect balance for so many centuries. Even small contributions like community service, recycling, and reducing your energy footprint can change the world. With non-renewable energy, the human race will be limited to an obvious and predictable fate. However, we can make a change and transition into clean renewable energy for everyone, but it starts on an individual level. When it seems as if all hope is lost and there's no possible way out, just remember that your actions can have the power of God's.